Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. I'm Sarah Hurwitz. I'm the Public Information Officer for Transportation for the county. We are here today gathered with East County leaders with a collective message to the Oregon Legislature that the time to act is now. We need to pass a transportation funding bill this session. And you're going to hear from several leaders today who have important messages to share about that and the connection specifically to their jurisdictions. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Commissioner Vince Jones-Dixon.
Woo! Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. And thank you, sir, for coordinating and everyone else that has made this this moment possible. As she mentioned, my name is Commissioner Jones-Dixon, and I represent District 4 out east. I proudly represent East Multnomah County, a place where our roads are more than just infrastructure, they are lifelines. County roads carry people to work, to school, to the grocery store, and to doctor's appointments. Whether rural or urban, they connect families, neighbors, and local economies every single day. But for decades, counties like ours has faced a transportation funding deficit that's made it harder and harder to keep these roads safe. Here in East Multnomah County, after serving on the board of the City Council for 4 years, I can strongly say that we've been doing our part. I see Mr. Strong back there leading a lot of our infrastructure projects like fixing our roads. I see Director Berry back there. She helped lead the projects as far as getting our Stark Street repair project completed with our Stark Street Bridge, and we're looking to do more. We're ready to keep going, but we need this budget passed immediately. That's our call to action to our state legislator. Right now, our residents like Frank Stevens and Troutdale are telling us that road maintenance is the #1 barrier to walking and biking safely. With your help, we can change that. At the county, we maintain 30 miles of high-volume roads in urban East County, roads with bike lanes, sidewalks, signals, and ramps. With more funding, we could rebuild Northeast Halsey Street right behind us in Fairview, upgrade Buxton Road in Troutdale, replace broken curb ramps and improve ADA access, add crosswalks, and do a better job managing vegetation before it becomes a hazard. We've seen that even with modest investments can do, like repaving the roads up there at Large Mountain. That's what they completed with our last administration. And that was just with a measly $5 million. This isn't just about pavement, it's about people, it's about safety, and it's about connection. The time is now to act. We urge our Oregon legislators to pass the transportation and infrastructure funding package this session. And with that, I'll pass it on to Mayor Stovall. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones-Dixon. Thank you all for coming out here to East County. Greatly appreciate seeing all of you here. As Commissioner just referenced, we know that transportation isn't just the infrastructure that goes through and around our cities. We absolutely understand that this infrastructure and this transportation system is what essentially gets us to and from the most critical components of our lives. And we need it to be safe, we need it to be efficient, we need it to be effective. And so those are the things that we look at as we are encouraging this legislature to step up and make this critical investment to ensure that our transportation infrastructure is something that serves our communities. Now, it takes effort to get these things done, lots of effort. And we know that climate has really impacted our cities, climate has impacted our towns, and climate has impacted our infrastructure. Because of that, this maintenance that we're talking about of our infrastructure and our roads continues to be something of great importance. Recently, in 2024, Gresham launched its Hitting the Streets process, where we went out and we worked on up to 25% of our roads. We repaved them. We replaced 1,100 curb ramps. Along with that, we improved a total of over 150 miles of our local roadways. In all, we invested millions of dollars, but we also did it $600,000 under budget. $600,000 under budget. Why do I say that? Because it shows that our communities are effectively using the transportation dollars that our taxpayers put forth. So these things are critical as we look forward to ensuring that we can continue the great work around our transportation system that's so critical to each one of our communities. And we can continue to ensure the safety of our families, of our youth, safe routes to schools. Those types of things are the things that we need to ensure that we move forward with this funding. In Gresham, we would use this funding to maintain the busy streets that carry people along Burnside from Maine to Powell, Stark between 162nd and 181st, Division between 182nd and Wallula, the intersections of Hogan and Palmquist, and stretches of Eastman, Gleason, and 182nd. We'd use these critical funds to keep our pavement in good condition to ward off potholes, because we clearly know that ensuring that we maintain our streets is substantially better than in allowing them to fall into disrepair than to bring them back. Every taxpayer in Oregon benefits from the revenue that they pay, because 50% of that revenue generated comes back to our cities, with 40% of the city road inventory across Oregon in poor or very poor condition. We have to continue to make these investments. So this is a strong proposal to move forward with these critical infrastructure investments, and we encourage the legislature to take this opportunity to make these investments. Again, thank you for coming. I'll turn it over to our next speaker.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bob Thomas. I am a Troutdale resident and a member of the Multnomah County Bicycle and Pedestrian Community Advisory Committee. I'm also a cyclist who rides around all these roads. And I also run on them too. You know, in my experience, the biking on these roads, and as they are now, is pretty dangerous. You know, cyclists have to avoid potholes as well, but when the cars are also avoiding potholes and the cyclists are avoiding those same potholes, now the cars and the cyclists end up occupying the same space, which makes it twice as dangerous. You know, the drivers are also tend to be a little bit more upset when they see those potholes and have to drive around them, which often gets taken out on cyclists and pedestrians just trying to go about their business. You know, a lot of the roads that are in these poor condition now get avoided by cyclists because it's just safer to go other routes. You know, instead of going down Halsey, you might take Marine Drive and avoid all of the beautiful businesses down here that are starting to pop up with the improvements we're seeing. You know, we've seen the improvements be effective. Larch Mountain Road, I was just on that last weekend. It's fantastic now. Cyclists are making trips out there just because of the improvements in the road that we've seen. 257th in progress right now, but again, that will be more easy to cycle, knowing that we'll have some improved bike lanes, you know, some better road conditions so that we don't have to avoid cars as much as they have to avoid us. We see the improvements in the crosswalks going down Halsey. You know, not just more ease of crossing for pedestrians, but those also help slow the traffic down so that people are driving at a more reasonable speed. If the county gets the funding it needs to make these the roads and bridges safer, we will see an increase in cycling and pedestrian traffic out here, which will lead to more business. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jairo Rios Campos, Jairo for non-Spanish speakers, and I'm the mayor of Wood Village. Wood Village has made it an essential project of ours to ensure safety for our transportation system. Crosswalks have been in our pedestrian plan for over 10 years, and until 2022, the city received a $100,000 grant from ODOT. Including with the urban renewal, we're able to put in 3 crosswalks that help connect pedestrians to businesses and local parks, but keeping them safe. It was put in the plan to put 4 crosswalks, but again, due to funding shortages, we're only to do 3. Crosswalks span from $150 to $200,000, depending on what the improvements needed. Right now, we have another crosswalk coming in the Wood Village Boulevard through a grant that is going to range $250,000 as well. As we look at all the improvements that we've been able to do through these corridors, we cannot wait another 10 years for these things to happen. It is important that we invest in our roads now for our community, for our safety, for our region. We cannot wait another 10 years. Thank you.
I'm Dave Ripma, Mayor of Troutdale. Troutdale serves as the eastern entrance to the Portland metro area and the western gateway to the gorge. Tourism and freight traffic move through our community every day. Transportation funding ensures safe and reliable roads for our community. Troutdale's location at the gateway to the Columbia River Gorge makes our roads vital not just for residents, but for regional visitors and commerce. Continued state funding ensures that we can meet the needs of both local and regional travelers without overburdening our local resources. Transportation funding supports local economic growth and jobs. Troutdale's growing industrial and commercial sectors depend on efficient freight routes and workforce mobility, including the Troutdale Reynolds Industrial Park and Amazon Fulfillment Center. State investments in transportation infrastructure directly support our local businesses, attract new employers, and create good-paying construction and infrastructure jobs right here in East Multnomah County. Transportation, no matter what mode, is the backbone of our communities in East Multnomah County, connecting our families, fueling our economy, and ensuring Troutdale remains a vibrant place to live, work, and visit. With state transportation funding, we can continue to build and maintain the infrastructure to keep our roads safe, our economy growing, and our region connected. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Keith Kuderna, and I'm the mayor of Fairview. I appreciate you all coming out here today to listen to us and maybe help move this football along. As it's been stated, the county roads serve a huge part of our infrastructure as far as the economics and just welcoming people. The county roads from Fairview, Wood Village, and Troutdale serve as the entry point into East County, whether you're going to the Gorge, Mount Hood, or down to Boring. And our streets are the welcome mat. And as my father, who was a lifelong mechanic, taught me a long time ago, if you don't provide the routine maintenance, you are going to spend a lot more in the long run. We have seen years, if not decades, of maintenance to these roads ignored, and it's only going to cost more. We need the state to invest to protect what they do have and to provide an economic development for the businesses and the communities that are served by these roads. Much of our county road network was built when Fairview was a small community surrounded by farms. Since then, we have added, since the last 30 years, we have added a light industrial park, many businesses, and we've effectively doubled our population. Fairview has supplied a large number of planning developments that serve the community's needs. But they fall on unsafe standards in the streets, like Sandy Boulevard, where residents at the Senior Manufactured Home Park must walk along roadside ditches to catch the bus or to cross the street at an unmarked crosswalk. The problem is that we do not have enough money to finish these visions. The county lacks enough funding for basic maintenance to do a pavement overlay on Halsey, one of our poorest condition urban roads, which would allow the city to make additional Main Street improvements to help attract new businesses and make this corridor an inviting place for people to walk, shop, work, eat, and drink. Again, we ask this, maintaining these roads is our welcome mat. If we do not provide a welcoming welcome mat, where will the new businesses, where will the new customers come from? Thank you.
Thank you to all of our speakers. I will open it up for just a couple of minutes for questions, if you have any questions for any of the speakers. And then I can kind of divvy between who wants to take them. Yes?
What is the exact dollar
Jessica Berry? You want to come up here? Sorry. Or Tom?
Yeah, so every 2 years, that's how the state does the budget.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. My name's Tom Powers. I'm with Multnomah County's Office of Government Relations. The legislature has put forward a package called the Transportation Reinvestment Package. That's TRIP. It's going to be in a bill soon, but the framework for that package was a biennial investment of about $1.9 billion statewide. That would flow 50% to the state, 30% to the counties, 20% to cities statewide. And so what we're talking about today is really that latter half, the 30% and the 20% of that biennial investment. Thanks.
And that's biennial investments every 2 years?
Yes, every 2 years. So the state budget cycle is, for example, July 2025 to June 2029. So it would be on that cycle.
If passes, we have to wait 2 years for any other state funding to work on these projects.
It would be funding on top of the existing funding, so it's an investment that would happen on top of what we have now, but there's, in the package, a lot of different mechanisms to make sure that the gas tax, which is kind of petering out, can be augmented by other sources of funding.
And when you say 30% to the counties, how does that get allocated? Is that based on priority need? How does that get spread out?
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, transportation staff, but I believe it's on also basically a per capita formula basis. So there is something that's already set in statute. I have not seen the bill yet because it hasn't come out yet. The framework has come out. It has not proposed changes into how that allocation would happen.
And I've been to a bunch of these press conferences with a bunch of you about not enough money for anything. Where do you put this on priority, and how do you ask the citizens in the legislature when everything is so tight that this should be earmarked? Whoever wants to take that early question.
Well, as was referenced, I think one of the critical things that we have to do in our communities is to ensure that we can actually get folks from where they live to where they work, where they play, where they get educated, where they get trained to do those jobs. I think without that infrastructure, then we lose the ability to have our cities come together in ways that benefit, them as individuals and as residents of our city. So when you look, I reference what's called the vital few. I generally will highlight 3 different things about the vital few that makes communities work, and one of those is our transportation network. And it doesn't just stop at the roads. It also has to ensure that we've got the sidewalks to ensure that folks who don't have vehicles can get back and forth. The active transportation includes, cycling and all of those things. So we have to have that. So that's why it's such a tremendous priority, because without it, really, the whole thing cannot function effectively and appropriately. You got to have community safety, police, fire. You got to have those critical things. But transportation, without that, you can't get police and fire to the locations they need to deliver the services that they need to. That's why it's such a critical priority in the things that we're talking about.
No, it's very happy. He captured everything I would say. As far as it is.
Yes, any other questions?
Yeah. When talking about this road maintenance, does a lot of this come on these county roads from the county road fund? Is that what feeds this general maintenance that we're talking about?
What we're discussing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know in the proposed budget, it's looking like around $2 million of proposed cuts to the road fund. Commissioner, is this something that here in East County you're maybe going to ask to revisit or look to not cut that $2 million in this upcoming budget?
Yes, in short, yes. That's a yes. To answer your question, yes, definitely. That's an area that my office is tracking, and we'll be working with the rest of with our board on.
Well, then what's the message to the other commissioners, to the chair, about why $2 million, granted everything is so tight, but why $2 million in cuts can't come for the people here in East County?
Pretty much piggybacking off of everything that Mayor Stovall has just stated, and then also we're making the case with the state legislature as well, and then also with the federal government too.
At this point, can you even depend on actions?
Pretty much what you said. We can count on the federal government because they are in positions. I was just in DC last week and we spoke directly with the department, the U.S. Department of Transportation. They said that they're here to serve and to listen. I think it's all based off of relationships, and we should massage and let them know what the needs are here within our district and within our region, and put forward the ask and be prepared to receive those funds. So you can't receive what you don't ask for. Any other?
There's one more.
Yeah, we have time for one more question.
You mentioned you can't receive what you don't ask for, but what is the plan should this not come through the way you guys want? What will that look like?
That's a good question. I don't have an answer yet. Anybody else?
I think we just gotta look at alternatives.
Mayor.
I just think we gotta look at creative alternatives. So something the city of Wood Village has done in partnership with Multnomah County is use a nonprofit to help with some of these road maintenance. So Cultivate Initiatives helps homeless that are looking for a pathway to enter into the workforce. So again, looking at untraditional ways that we've been able to do so. But again, just going with what the commissioner said, we don't receive what we don't ask. So again, until we hear no, I think it's always looking at just outside the box things.
Thank you so much. One more, actually. The anchor.
Yeah, I couldn't leave that one there. I'm going to address the previous question just really quick. One of the frustrations that we have here in East County is the underinvestment that's happened for decades. And that is a challenge. So to see potentially another $2 million taken away from East County, I think there actually has to be, and I believe I'm going to talk for many of us, there has to be an overinvestment, an oversized investment in East County starting now. There has been tremendous years of underinvestment that includes transportation, and that gets challenging. For us to be able to bring our folks from poverty to prosperity, we have to make these investments. We have to. And so are there pathways to go forward if this doesn't get funded? Yes, there will be pathways. We can get there. Will roads be under-repaired? Yes, they will be under-repaired. They won't be maintained. Will new roads and new infrastructure not be delivered? Yes, that will be the case. Will we be able to move forward as communities? Absolutely. Is it going to be more challenging? Of course. That's the critical response to the question, is it will be more challenging to deliver the things that we need to deliver from a transportation perspective to our communities. And to hear potentially that another $2 million would be moved away from East County, which has been underinvested for so long, is a proposal that is just unacceptable. We have to be making oversized investments in our communities to ensure that we can move our folks from poverty to prosperity, which we have been forgotten for so long. So great question. Thank you for the question.